Yes, I'm very happy to be here. Yeah, as you say, I'm Ian Norton. I'm known as the Confidence King, and Forbes magazine recently called me a confidence architect, which I kind of quite like because a lot of the work I do is about I suppose it is quite architectural. It's about creating a vision, designing and building. I always say building lives and businesses that are worth celebrating. Um, Now, today, I I actually want to talk to you rather than it's not going to be a big all singing, all dancing slideshow. There's no big presentation. There's no slides at all, actually. Because when I was thinking about it, um, I I didn't really want the distraction of slides because this is such a simple conversation. It's just a sharing of some experience and a viewpoint. So as we go along, feel free to ask any questions, or we can wait till the end. There's no formula with this. If you want to, if something comes to mind while we're going along, please just dive in. Otherwise, I will leave some space at the end for questions. Um, it's supposed to be around about 45 minutes. We'll see where it goes. But just come with me and we'll see where we end up, which is my usual kind of modus operandi. Um, okay, recently I wrote a book called The Wasted Life and How to Get It All Back. And the book came from a lot of conversations that I had at the end of last year with business leaders, coaches, entrepreneurs, all of them feeling like they'd left things too late in certain areas, or they'd wasted years in jobs they hated, or they'd stayed in bad relationships that they should have left sooner. And there was this real feeling of, what can I say, despondency that it was too late. There was too much to do to start again, or the uphill battle was too much. And my point to them that I kept making over and over again was that none of that was wasted. Whatever it felt like, we often delete or distort or we generalize the past, but it isn't actually the true memory. We write off stuff, but actually every single thing we did, we were in the right place at the right time to experience that. And it's about looking at the benefits that we can gain from all of those experiences. So today, my talk is about the wasted life effect, why brilliant leaders and coaches often lose confidence and clarity and authority, and importantly, how to reclaim it without burning everything down. So, before I start, I want to say this clearly. This isn't a talk about failure. It's not about burnout in the dramatic sense. And it's definitely not about people who didn't make it. This is about something much quieter. And it's something that's far more common, especially amongst leaders, especially amongst coaches, particularly in people that want to make a difference. And it is what I call the wasted life effect. And just to reassure you straight away, it doesn't mean that you've wasted your life. Simply not that. It just means that quite often something has slowly slipped. I mean, I work with a lot of very intelligent, very capable people, responsible people, often people that are admired and revered, people that others rely on, people who people who on paper are doing brilliantly, and yet privately something just feels off or flatter than it used to. Now, they haven't lost everything and they haven't wasted everything. They've just lost themselves a little bit inside what they've been building, or they've started to believe the stories that are coming from their nervous system, just trying to keep them safe. So, so what is the wasted life effect? What do I mean by that? For me, the wasted life effect is what happens when you keep going, but you're no longer fully in it. You're not fully committed. You're doing the work, you're delivering, you're serving, but your conviction is dulled. The clarity feels noisier, and confidence has become something that you perform, you play at rather than you actually inhabit. And this is the paradox with it, that the most dangerous moment for your confidence isn't when you fail. It's when you have long-term success without recalibrating. I mean, one of the things that I say to a lot of people, and there's one on this call that I've said it to on more than one occasion. I often say, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Because quite often people carry on doing something because they've invested a lot of time or a lot of money or a lot of emotion into it. Um, I mean, I'll give you an example. I'm working with a client at the moment, and she has worked in childcare and kind of after school nursery care for 20 odd years. And she's really successful in it, and she's done really well and she's brilliant at it. And, she's seen children grow up and go, and it's wonderful. But she's over it. And it's time for her to recalibrate. And because she's invested so much time and education and money and so much of herself in it, she feels like if she steps out of it, then she's wasted all those years when she could have been doing something that she wants to do. And in this situation, it's so clear that it's not. It's served its purpose, and she has served it beautifully for this long, but it's now run its course, and it's time for her to take the next step. So it's looking at the transferable skills. It's looking at what excites her now. It's what fires her up now. And she's really interested in taking mindset and well-being work to children in kind of after school sports clubs, and building their self-confidence. And so we're looking at the transferable part of that and going into a new phase. So nothing that she's done over the last 20 odd years was wasted, because she's built this toolkit of how to support children, to nurture them, to encourage them, to teach them life skills, which just moves into this next phase. But before we started working together, she was procrastinating and avoiding and just getting frustrated because she felt like it was writing it all off if she jumped ship, as she put it, and changed into something else. And this is the problem. This is why brilliant people are the most at risk in this area. Because the people most affected by this feeling of a wasted life aren't weak. They're strong, they're capable, they're conscientious. They've learned to override themselves. They know how to push through the discomfort. They know how to keep going when it gets hard. And they know how to keep going when they're tired. How to be the strong one for everyone else. And over time, that comes with a cost. Because when your nervous system never fully settles, your decisions get noisier. And then you do start to procrastinate, you self-sabotage, you avoid change, and your authority starts to leak. Not because you've lost it, but because you're tired of holding it all together. You've maybe gone as far as you can in whatever you're doing, or you're just bored with it now because you've changed. We evolve, and it it bugs me that there is this, particularly in the UK, there is still this throwback to the Victorian period where we're still kind of encouraged to feel that you have to start a job and you stay with it until you retire. Otherwise, you've failed. And that may have been true back in Victorian England. It's not the reality that we live with now. And if we get to a point where we feel something's run its course and we want to change, or we're bored with what we do, so we're not giving the best of ourselves, surely it's much better to change. But this is where the thoughts come in. The idea of dumping it all and starting something new is scary. And your nervous system reacts and your brain starts looking for proof that that change is a bad thing. So all those, oh, you're too old, or you've left it too late, or what are you thinking about? After all this time and effort and money you've invested, you can't change now. You can't throw it all away. All these thoughts start coming through our minds. I mean, I don't know if anyone listening can relate to this, but I'm pretty sure you can. Um, and when you hit that, I'm too tired, or I'm not good enough, or I'm too stressed, that's when we hit the kind of burnout feeling. And it's purely our nervous system not feeling safe and us finding reasons to stay where we are. Now, lots of marketers at the moment, particularly on the social media space, they tout burnout as this physical, emotional, and almost mental breakdown. But burnout isn't always exhaustion. Sometimes it's about a disconnection. It's a separation from your original focus. Catalina mentioned that I'd worked with Princess Diana, and I saw that very clearly when I was working with her. And I want to be careful here because story I don't share lightly. But I was invited to work with her at Kensington Palace to help basically ease the way between the rules and regulations of Palace Protocol and what Diana wanted to do, because she wanted to break the mold. She wanted to be more inclusive. She wanted to get out into people's lives rather than being kept behind this kind of glass wall. Um, and it was how much of herself she could lean into to override herself in order to survive. She'd gone from like this relative obscurity to the engagement to the wedding to then the other side of the wedding and finding her role. And then suddenly she was expected to know everything and conform to everything. Now, she was a very warm, intelligent woman. She was deeply intuitive, wicked sense of humor, but constantly being watched, assessed, and judged. And the world saw this kind of vulnerability and this sense of uncertainty, but privately, she knew what she wanted. So with her, it was about this deregulation between her nervous system and her reality. And I remember thinking at the time that this is what happens when somebody becomes a symbol of strength before they've allowed themselves to feel safe. And that, I suppose, really, that is the wasted life effect. It's not a lack of ability. It's not that you have wasted all this time. It's not that you can't lead in a different area, that you can't move into something different. It's just that lack of an internal refuge. It's having no room for nervous system alignment to own who you're being. It feels wasted because you don't feel aligned and the experience feels um it kind of feels unnecessary. And it's sneaky. That's the thing with it. It's very good at just sneaking in. It's a bit like there's I always put it that there are three invisible erosions that happen that cause the kind of, oh, I've wasted my life, or I haven't done it, or I should have done it sooner thing. And I see the same three quiet erosions again and again. And like I say, they're sneaky little suckers that they lead to that feeling of failure, even though it's not true. And that doubt, that feeling that you've wasted time, that mental burnout. And the first one always attacks your self-confidence. And it's that kind of self-trust erosion. Because confidence doesn't disappear overnight, it erodes slowly. As I say, you start second guessing decisions that you used to make instinctively. You procrastinate, you avoid things, you sabotage yourself over things. You look, this is one that drives me crazy. You look outwardly for validation more than inwardly to your intuition. If you take nothing from this whole thing, take this, trust your intuition. It's scientifically proven that our gut has neurons like our brain. There is a major scientifically proven brain gut connection. With the wasted life effect, you're busy comparing your inside, the 100% true as you see it version of you, to other people's outside versions, that filtered reality that they share. It's like if what we see is to be believed, every successful person is living in a villa in the south of France and driving a red Ferrari. But the reality isn't that, but that's what they post and that's what they filter, and that's what we start to compare ourselves with. And because we kind of know that that's not a reality, and because we're intelligent, we explain it away. Our nervous system accepts it, and so our brain looks for proof, and we generalize how we feel. We go, oh, well, we're just tired. It's just a phase. It's just a new strategy. We waste our time and we accept this as normal. So our confidence begins to erode. The second area is clarity. Now, clarity gets eroded by the noise. There is so much noise out there, and that's where we lose our clarity, not because you don't know enough, but almost because you know too much. I mean, how many in the course of a day, how many contradictory definites do you see on social media, on the TV, in magazines, in papers? This is the only way to do this. No, this is the only way to do this. No, you must do it like this. Create 10K months by doing this. No, don't do that. Do this. You must do it this way, not that way. You must coach, not mentor. You must mentor, not coach. You must do NLP. No, that's not the way. You must do hypnotherapy. No, that's not it. Do this. No, too many ideas, too many voices, too many distractions, and too much noise. And you stay busy trying to navigate it all, but you're not settling. And all that noise just erodes your sense of clarity. And the third erosion is your authority. Because along with your lack of clarity and the chipping away at your confidence, your authority is affected by, it's what I call energetic leakage because of all this going on. So your authority gets chipped away at, it gets eroded. And this one is really subtle. You begin to over-explain everything. You overgive, you over-deliver. Now, I don't mean, as coaches, practitioners, as the people we are, we will always have a sense that we over deliver and that we overgive. It's what we do. It's in our literally in our genetic makeup. But what I mean is the real sense of over explaining everything, over delivering. We label it adding value, but actually it comes from a place of justifying ourselves. You over justify your prices, your boundaries, your decisions. Occasionally you'll apologize for them. And this matters because authority isn't claimed with volume, with loudness. It doesn't come from being loud or from giving more. See, often clients, and I'm not the only one that's done it, as they get overwhelmed when there is too much and they feel that they're getting behind, even when you tell them they're not behind. I've run courses where I've wanted to give so much to the people doing it that, even though you say it's there. You can watch it whenever you like, or you can do it whenever you like. You're not, there is no behind, you're exactly where you need to be. People still have that sense of feeling behind and not being up to date with things. So we tend to then apologize for doing too much. Yes, I'm sure I'm not the only one. But your authority comes from connection, from calm, from simply being who you are, not from what you give or what you do. Often being less available shows your authority. You show up as someone who understands not only your worth, but the empowerment you provide and the space that you hold. Just sit with that for a moment. So what is this what is this myth of burning it all down? See, at this point, when you're feeling like your confidence is eroding and you've kind of lost clarity and you're not holding and living in your authority, there is this point that often happens, and it's a lot of people think that the answer is a drastic change, a complete, a rebrand, a new website, a new identity, walking away from it all, burning it all down. Yeah, and I say most of the time this isn't what I'd encourage. It's about regulation. It's about recalibration. You don't need to destroy what you built. Like I was saying with the client with the childcare, she doesn't have to completely burn down what she's done and what she's created, but it's looking at, is there a way to integrate it, or can it transfer? Because, obviously with childcare, she's got children of different ages that have been through what she does and moved on. Are they potentially clients for a new business? Who knows? But it's about realignment. So rather than seeing a wasted life, we look at the lessons, the knowledge, what we still love, and also what we can let go. Even the bad stuff has shown us what we won't tolerate. None of it is wasted. And think about your life today. As you sit here listening to me go on now, you would not be where you are or who you are right now if one single thing had been left out or avoided or changed. Even the bad stuff. I mean, let me give you a quick example of how this shows up in real life. No names, no drama, but just a pattern that I see a lot. A client recently came to me, and it's about a couple of months I've been working with her now. But she's very senior in her company, very capable. Again, one of those people on paper, surface level, everything's amazing. She's successful, she's married happily, 2.4 children, dog, all of it, absolutely fine. She's respected, she's experienced, she's doing meaningful work. And one of the first things that she said to me was, I don't know what's wrong, but I don't feel like myself anymore. Now, she wasn't burnt out, she wasn't failing, she wasn't lost, but she was disconnected. She'd been saying yes for too long. She'd been holding responsibility for things that were no longer hers to deal with. She'd been living inside this identity that once fitted, but now it kind of felt off and wrong. And the work wasn't about fixing her or dealing with burnout or actually wasted time. It was about slowing everything down enough for the truth to reappear. And as her system settled, something really brilliant happened. Her confidence didn't need rebuilding. It just needed to return. And with that, her decisions got simpler, her boundaries got cleaner, her authority stopped leaking, and she started to realize what she could let go of without feeling like it was wasted effort, wasted time, wasted energy, and what she could actually carry forward. Yeah, and again, it was something that she said on our last session. She said that it felt like she'd actually kind of come back to herself without having to blow everything up. And that's where the work is. So yeah. So how do we reclaim it all? Well, this is the work that I do, and it's far quieter than people expect. It's about regulation. It's about understanding. And the big thing is it's about acceptance. Before confidence, before clarity, before strategy, we regulate and we regulate the nervous system. It's a lot of it comes down to self-trust because you guys, anybody listening to this talk right now, it means that you are here today, and I will ask you a question. Have you ever laid awake at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking, I don't know how I'm going to get through this, or I don't know what I'm going to do about that, or I don't know how I'm going to tell so and so something, or this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me and I don't know what to do? I would pretty much guarantee that everybody that listens to this talk has had those moments. But you are here listening to this now, which means you are 100% successful at getting through all of those things that life has thrown at you up to now. You are undefeated by anything that you have gone through in life up to now, which is pretty incredible. And it means that you can pretty much trust yourself that whatever decisions you make, whatever you choose to do, you can trust that you will be okay no matter what. Yeah, it's like me doing this talk. You could you could hate everything that I'm saying. You could find it completely pointless. You could think it was a complete waste of time. And okay, my ego might be hurt because it's like, oh, I thought I was doing a good job. But I'll be okay. I'll go on and I'll still coach my next client, and I'll get up tomorrow and I'll have my morning coffee and I'll walk my dog, and life will go. I can trust that I'll be okay if that happens. And I know that's a kind of surface level issue, but even with the tough stuff, if you can have that level of self-trust, then your nervous system can feel safe. Yeah, our nervous system is this prehistoric thing which we're learning more about, year on year, but it is prehistoric. It reacts or it doesn't. It doesn't have the sensitivity to go, oh, that's a little bit scary, or that's a little bit worrying, or that's a little bit difficult. You know, I don't want to make that phone call gets the same prehistoric response as, oh, good grief, I'm being attacked by a saber-toothed tiger. And so quite often our nervous system response is disproportionate to what's happening. So we get stressed, we get anxious, we panic. So if in those moments we can go, well, okay, what is going on right now? Because I'm okay. I'm safe. Everything's fine. I can trust that I'll be okay in this situation. We can then move forward. So when we feel those feelings and those thoughts that we're too late, that we've wasted too much time, that it's not for us, we can know that all those thoughts are our brain trying to keep us safe because our nervous system is feeling unsafe. And if we throw out these, if we decide we're going to change our direction, we're going to lead from a different position and our nervous system doesn't feel safe, what do those feelings do? If we start thinking, oh, well, it's a waste of time and I've wasted all this life, we either don't do whatever it is, so we don't do it, so we feel safe, or we procrastinate about it. And while we're procrastinating, we're not doing the thing, so we feel safe. Or we avoid it, we don't do it, we feel safe. We self-sabotage. It doesn't happen. We feel safe. All of it, all of those feelings of wasted time and not good enough and with letting go of stuff that we shouldn't have done or whatever, all of that is coming from that sense of a dysregulated nervous system. And it's just your nervous system doing its job. That's all it's designed to do is keep us safe. And it's that link between that, like I say, our gut brain connection that causes so much of this belief about having having this wasted life. And then, as I say, we look for proof, and we have the Victorians to thank for an awful lot of these very old views that we then latch on to. So when you have those moments, just remember to breathe and accept that that's what's going on. And then we remember who you were and who you are before all those thought spirals take over. What actually matters now, not 10 years ago? Which identities are you still wearing out of habit rather than truth? Are you holding back and blaming a wasted life because it just feels safer or because somebody told you? And again, when with somebody telling you, oh, you don't want to change now because you've done all this, where is that coming from for them? Where is the fear behind what they're saying? Because very rarely will you get someone who's an adventurous entrepreneur going, oh no, don't take a risk. So again, it's just looking at where that's coming from in other people. Now, none of this is reinvention, but it's a return, it's a realignment. We realign with cleaner boundaries, clearer standards, fewer roles, but a deeper presence. This all comes from lived experience. Confidence comes back when your life stops pulling you in opposite directions. Now, I'd like to give you something just to think about or to do in the quiet when you have a minute. And all I would say is take a moment to feel this rather than analyze it. But when you're comfortable and you're quiet, just place a hand on your heart and ask yourself, without trying to fix or to judge, just ask yourself, where am I forcing? What am I holding together that no longer needs holding? What would calm authority feel like in my body? Just ask yourself those three questions. Where am I forcing? What am I holding together that no longer needs holding? And what would calm authority feel like in my body? And just sit with it and see what comes up. Like I say, it's not about judging where you are or trying to fix things. It's just listening to your body and being honest with yourself. It's about accepting that all that you've lived, good, bad, amazing, uncomfortable, down to the downright awful, nothing was wasted. And all of it gives you and contributes to the amazing person that you are right now and the leader that you are right now. Your energy is contributing to this experience. What we've shared now is part of you, and that will be added to the energy of your ancestors. Think about it. Does that sound like a waste? Of course not. Right. Anyway, I, I've gone miles off track from where I was going. But anyway, I hope it's been useful. I'm going to shut up now, but I do want to end with this before I answer any questions. And I'm going to say this: a wasted life isn't one that didn't achieve. It's one that forgot how to feel at home inside success. As I say, that's the silent assassin. Leadership today isn't about intensity, it's about integrity. It's about presence, not performance. It's about authority, not approval. This is what literally has become the heart of what I do now. It's why I wrote the book, The Wasted Life, because it was exploring this effect and actually getting people to understand that nothing is wasted. Energetically, everything you've gone through, you went through, you were in the right place at the right time, even the bad stuff. And it's about looking at how that benefits you. It was an experience, it happened, you learn from it, you move on. It's okay to shift, and it's never, never too late. And yeah, what can I say? The wasted life, it ends the minute you stop judging yourself. And the moment for that to happen is always available without burning anything down. Right, I'm going to shut up now.
Well, this was very inspiring, and I'm just curious. Do you remember the moment when you stopped judging yourself?
Yeah, that was yeah, the short version um through my early life, I ended up in prison through making some very bad decisions about a friendship group. I was gay and in a very male-dominated family, so it wasn't an option, so I had to hide it. So I married a woman. I then later got divorced. So I felt like the worst person on the planet and had so many versions of what a waste of a life, and I might as well be dead because I've just wasted it and there's no hope and there's no nothing. And I I literally there was one day when I helped somebody who was going through a crisis, and I won't go into details about her situation, but she was desperate and just verging on suicidal. And she came to me and she said, I knew I could talk to you because I knew you'd understand. And it was that moment that I realized that all the fill in your own word of choice that I'd gone through meant that I could be helpful and of use to other people in a way that I wouldn't have been able to do without having gone through that. And that was the moment that I stopped judging and going, well, actually, everything that happens to me benefits me because it enables me to benefit other people.
Yeah. So we cannot become ourselves by ourselves.
No,
Was that
absolutely not. And it's also, I think one of the other big things that I learned around the same time was the freedom that actually nobody cares. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but so many people worry about what other people think or what other people are going to say, or are they're going to laugh at me, or they're going to criticize me, or they're going to hate me, or they're going to think I'm too fat, too thin, too tall, too short. I mean, and all of this. And when you actually really genuinely understand, and I don't mean on a surface, intellectual level, I mean genuinely understand that nobody cares because they're so busy worrying about their own stuff. And although you are the star of the film of your life, you're an extra in everybody else's. So they really don't care. And so you don't have to worry about all that stuff because it doesn't matter. And the freedom that comes with that takes away so much of the self-judgment because it's like, well, why am I worrying? I often say to clients when they're doing, oh yeah, but what will so and so say? Or oh, but what will they think if I do that? And I and I just say so, and I kind of use that almost shock tactic of going, who the hell do you think you are? Yeah, what is so amazing about you that somebody else's life is going to be completely changed if you say no, you're not going to do that? Or, you know, how important are you? You know, Copernicus called and you know the world doesn't revolve around you. It's fine. Let it go. And once you have that sense of freedom that actually nobody is judging, even people that have an instant thought of a judgment, you ask them 5 minutes later, they'll forget they've even said it because they've
Yeah,
moved on. Yeah, and that sense of freedom removes so much of the self-judgment.
yeah. So I will look for some questions until they come on the in the chat. I have another one. Do we
Okay.
need a crisis in order to recalibrate, or how do we can incorporate this?
No, you don't need a crisis. It's I think that the main it's actually a crisis is easier because I think it's one of those things that when something is it's that pain and pleasure thing. It's like when things are really, really bad, it's much easier to go, right, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to change everything. But it's when things are good that it's actually harder because it's like you get into that, well, it's okay. How many people do you know that stay in relationships or they stay in a job that they don't like, but it's not that bad. And again, I had a client who was in the education system, and she was saying, oh, well, it's not that bad, and it's not that. And I was like, well, okay, when do you retire? And it was like she's 53, and she was like, well, I'll be 66. And I was like, so you're going to settle for not that bad for kind of pretty much 15 years. Think back to 15 years ago and what was that like? And it's that comfortable discomfort that people settle with. And rather than going, well, actually, no, a slight recalibration is all that's needed. So it's like the discomfort isn't bad enough. But then when you start looking at it and going, well, okay, why is this like this? And it's like that discomfort, although it's not very much, is coming from that need for realignment because you're kind of wanting to grow, but your nervous system's going, but no, actually, this is quite safe and this is quite comfortable. And you want to do that, which might upset this. So it then just becomes about a much smaller thing to deal with. It becomes about going, well, okay, how can I feel safe doing what I'm doing? Where is this slight fear coming from? And quite often it is that, it's linked to, like, if you've been in, like for this client, she's been in the education system working for like 30 years. So to step out and do something on a more consultancy level, it's like she knows up here she can do it, but her nervous system's going, oh, hang on, because then you'll be on your own. But so it was about talking about, well, okay, what is the reality of becoming a consultant? Where is it, and it's that slight shift of going, well, okay, I can feel safe about it because I know that I can do it and I already have clients because it's the institutions that I already work with. And so we can feel safe. And that little bit of discomfort is okay because it just means I'm growing, I'm doing something new. So it doesn't need to be a big explosive something. It's just about acknowledge. It's the acceptance that a bit of discomfort is actually a good thing. It's not a bad thing. The butterflies in the stomach or the slight shortness of breath of oh my God is actually a good thing because it just means that you're growing, you're taking that next step. And if it's too much, you then look at, okay, to keep my nervous system feeling okay with this, what's the step before that feels okay, that isn't too scary?
So where do people that live in their head bubble, they are super successful in the outside world, as you mentioned, right?
Mm,
But they have no connection, let's say, with their body. The somatic intelligence maybe is not that
mm.
high, let alone talking about nervous system regulation. How can these people start if they say, okay, I have to do something and I don't know how to start? What would be one thing that they could do?
It's about I the main thing I think with for those kind of people, it's clarity. It's about gaining clarity on what the vision is. I know it's a real cliche, but the vision is the destination is very important because if you have an idea of where you're going, you can choose whether you go directly or whether you stop off somewhere on the way and think, oh, actually, that's quite pretty. We'll stop here for coffee and we'll go. Um, so I tend to get people to think, I get them to write solidly for 25 minutes on a vision of it's 3 years from now. Because I quite like 3 years because 5 years is a bit too far and too fluffy, and a year can be a bit scary. But I get them to go, okay, it's 3 years from now, and you write solidly for 25 minutes. You do not stop. You do not take your pen off the paper because as soon as you pause, you start getting into the analytical of oh yeah, but how's that going to happen? And oh, that might not be right. And get them to write, where are you? What's going on? Detail on detail. What can you see? Are you, have you moved? Are you living in a different country? Are you in a different house? What's your relationship? What's happening? What have you just been doing? What are you doing for the rest of the day, the rest of the week? Have you got any holidays planned? Have you got what's going on? Getting really, really, really specific on what this vision is. And what that tends to do is initially all the superficial surface level stuff comes out, which is where they are at the moment. But as they keep going, the things that are underneath that they've either forgotten about or are unaware of start to come up. And then we get this, okay, they're going, oh my God, I'd forgotten about that, or I didn't even realize that was a thing until I started writing and it just went and then we go, okay, so how does that align with where you are? And then we look at the road forward with that and how do we make that feel safe for you to take that step? So it's the clarity that becomes important. And as I say, that the problem with that is that your clarity gets eroded while you're doing things that you're not actually connected to.
Wonderful. Let's see if I have more. Anybody that would like to ask a question, or I can continue, or
That's fine.
uh,
I think they're all okay.
please unmute yourself if you want to ask a question.
No, I think everyone's okay.
So I'm curious if I can continue our conversation.
Yeah, of course,
There's
John. Of course.
from your experience, what do you think that distinguish those who transform, they recalibrate from those who remain stuck?
It comes down to that self-trust. It really does. That's why people call me the confidence king, because everything starts from that self-belief. Because if you know that whatever happens to you, it's like even things like jumping out of an aeroplane or bungee jumping or anything, if you know solidly 100% that you will be okay no matter what, you can do it without fear and without worry. And that is the fundamental thing. If it's like I know from everything I've gone through that if I woke up tomorrow and I'd lost everything, I'd be okay. I'd find a way, I'd sort something, I'd yeah, it wouldn't be great, but I'd be, I'd have my health. I'm capable of doing anything and find something to earn a bit of money and get sorted. And I could deal with it. And I know that. And, if my relationship fell apart tomorrow. Okay, it would be horrible, but I'd survive. I'd be okay because I know I've been through stuff and I know I'd be okay. And that is the fundamental thing because it all links together that if you have that self-trust, you know that you'll be safe no matter what happens. Therefore, your nervous system is okay. You mentally you're okay, and emotionally you're okay because yeah, you can get angry. Yeah, you can yell and scream, or you can cry, or you can because you want to, because you need to release that. But even that is about letting it out so that you're okay. So it genuinely is, it comes from that. And the people that succeed best have that sense of self-trust. And it's not arrogance and it's not super confidence, it's self-trust. Because we all
And
have
this, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, no, I was just going to say, because we all have confidence. Even people who go, oh, I haven't got any confidence. It's like we have confidence in what we know how to do. The only time we don't have confidence is when it's something that is new or we're less experienced in. So it's
Yeah.
not confidence, it's a lack of self-trust.
Yeah. Yeah. You know that, oh, I'm not confident. I really, I'm not confident. And then you ask them, are you sure? And they say, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, this is
and coming to self-trust, of course, one would say, all right, as we progress in life, we have more reference experiences, right? And
yeah,
we become more self-aware, maybe more reflective, one might hope. And we realize, yes, okay, I had this experience, and then yeah, I found a way. So we create new beliefs that, you know what, I find a way. How
yeah,
do we instill this self-trust in very young adults, let's say 1920, in their 20s, this generation, where they do have, of course, experience, but they are so much focused on the external,
yeah.
social media, all this. What's your way? I don't know if you ever work with this kind of audience, but I think it's very important to think of the next generations and how do we help them with
Yeah.
self-trust? What's your opinion
Um,
on that?
with that, I think it's the importance of understanding the way that we work. As I say, it's like what I was saying about the nervous system being this primal thing that just reacts or doesn't. Um, and understanding that it's just doing its job to keep us safe. So all the 20 somethings going, oh, I've got anxiety, I've got stress, but it's like, no, that's just your nervous system learning new experiences and needs to know that it's safe in that situation. And that's just, that side of things. In terms of the self-trust, again, it's explaining that this isn't it. The problem, because of social media, because of the internet, because of streaming, downloading, every everybody's after instant gratification and instant knowledge, instant credibility, instant everything. And I think it's the importance of going, okay, it doesn't happen that way. Self-trust comes from experience. It comes from results. The more you do, the more self-trust you have, the more confidence you have, because you have proof that you can do it. It's like I say, like with throwing yourself out of an aeroplane. If you've never done it, you'd be a fool to be super confident. Oh yeah, it's fine. I'll just jump out of an aeroplane. It's like, but once you've had the training and you've gone up and you've done it once and you've landed, if I were to say to you, okay, let's go and do it again, you could have the self-trust and confidence that actually, yeah, I can do that again. And if I said, okay, we're going to do it, we're going to go a bit higher, you could have the confidence that you'd probably be okay because, okay, it's a bit higher, so it might be a little bit scarier, but I've done it. So yeah, that'll be fine. And it's getting them to understand that it isn't instant. That the experience is where, you can have a certain amount of self-trust because of, general growing up in school and life and college and all of that. But a lot of it builds on your experiences. And so it's okay not to feel 100% confident. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It just means you're doing new things. So it's more about getting them to understand the process rather than teaching them it, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes. So they can do it themselves, right? And start
Yeah,
reflecting and
yeah,
building.
yeah. And it's also the other thing that I do quite a lot, particularly with people going out into the workforce at the beginning when they're, when they are in their like early 20s and stuff, is making it easier to win. Because that's the other thing that at that age, and because of all the influences and everything else that they struggle with, is it's always like, oh, I'm rubbish because I went for an interview and I didn't get the job, and so I don't
Yeah,
know why I'm bothering. And it's like, but if winning was that you applied for a job, what if winning was you went to that interview? What if winning was the fact that you got an interview out of hundreds of applicants? What if winning was just you looked for a job rather than this big, stack the wins? We're really good at stacking the failures. We make it really easy to lose, but really hard to win. So that again is something that I work a
yeah,
lot with that age range on, of going, look, stack the wins. Find that,
yeah,
make it easier to win.
yeah.
I won today because somebody smiled at me. I won today because I had a great coffee. I won today because I didn't get wet, even though it was raining. Just, yeah,
So basically evaluating the rules and upgrading the rules as well.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. What would mean winning for us? And
Yeah.
with that note, yes, go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, no. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
We can go till tomorrow. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope to have you back and continue this. It was very inspiring, and we all need this infusion of energy. We all need to stop, to recalibrate, to calm down our nervous system and create that safeness in our body. And it's a
Yeah.
process. It's not a moment and that's it forever, but it's a process every single day of taking care of our nervous system, right? And then
Yes.
focusing on clarity, focusing on confidence and create. I really like the authority, the calm authority.
Mm.
Moving towards calm authority and not approval. So thank you
Yeah.
so much.
You're
I
very
hope you
welcome.
enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it as much as we did.